I can technically talk about Deadlock, which is Valve's new game now. NDA's left. Do you know Valve's making a new game? I do.
I'm not sure. Apparently there is a secret final scene if you do it.
A secret final scene?
Yeah.
Is it
I
that
see YouTube secret final scene.
Do we share the pizza with Bella Chonky and all the other things?
I did see references to party and pizza, so possibly, but I don't really know.
Pizza party. That's fantastic.
No, it was party and pizza separately. They were not together, so I didn't want to look at it to spoil it in case we do come back to this.
Yeah.
But there is a special scene, and it does involve a party, and it does involve pizza. And I don't know anything else. You would think after the third time that you steal the pizza, they would just be like, you know what? Pizza for everyone. And then we're all just happy friends, except for the dogs. But yeah, Peter's game is frozen, so we haven't been able to do a whole lot.
No. And restarting it with 15 minutes less seems silly.
Yeah. It takes us, in our best run, we did it in about half an hour.
Yeah. So. Concord shutting down. I mean, we could talk about that. That's unfortunate, but
I don't know. It lasted less than the lettuce. True. Chili's gone to bed, so it doesn't get that joke, but hey.
And then you say that he's in bed, but then Chili's gonna like chime in all of a sudden.
Pop up out of nowhere. Yeah, that's expected.
And then of course
I heard there was lettuce talk.
Yeah. Of course, there's surprisingly the World of Warcraft War Within. It's good. Like actually good. Like they put effort into it, and it's good.
Well, that's good. If they don't put effort into it, that would have been disappointing.
Yeah, we've seen that before. It's called Shadowlands.
Shadowlands was half good.
Yeah. But they actually like
of Battle for Azeroth.
Like the MSQ is actually very good. Like they actually put a lot of thought into the MSQ. It's very lean as well. There's not a lot of fat on it.
Sometimes fat's nice.
Yeah. And I just did a side quest yesterday. And I almost cried. It was very touching. The writing was very good. The Earthen are probably my favorite. I would say.
Are those the weird metal dwarves?
Yeah, the stone dwarf. Oh, they're so good. They're my favorite extra race that they've added.
There are parts of Shadowlands that are good. The string got muddy. It sucks you get the full string unless you go through all 4 covenants. Yeah, Shadowlands was half good. It had good pizzas to it. Yeah. Then there was Battle for Azeroth, which didn't.
No.
And then there was the expansions before, which were also very hit or miss. Mostly miss, if I remember.
Yeah, this is very good. Like, just overall very good.
But then there was Dragonflight, which is also good, I've heard.
It was, yeah. The story...
Also...
the story in Dragonflight, I would say... it was good. This was way more thought out. Like, this just had better story beats, and the fact that it has a more concise and clear-cut villain helps a lot.
You mean Sylvanas wasn't back?
No. Xal'atath is a great villain. Like, like it makes you like loathe them quickly.
Is it fair to say Sylvanas is the Xenos of the WoW world?
No, that's not fair.
She doesn't die and keeps coming back.
No, I mean she's done dead. That's not her fault.
It's a little bit her fault.
It's not her fault. That's Arthas's fault.
I'm also okay with blaming Arthas.
We could do that.
I heard that Peglin was doing. Sorry.
Which by the the lore of Shadowlands, it's technically the jailer's fault. So all things converge to jailer. So no, Peglin released to 1.0. Peglin's doing really well.
Yeah, finally.
Peglin's great. Balacha apparently going crazy.
Also, I've heard really, really good things so far about Tactical Breach Wizards, which is surprising. Because it is this one article describes it as an arcane combo of witty dialogue, turn-based tactics, and magical friendship. And also the ability to undo things so you don't have to like constantly restart from scratch.
Yeah.
Susan's had about Balatro because it's good.
That's how it's going to be with Coheed. you're like
you just you gotta keep pushing this one.
Yeah, it's not gonna. You're like, damn it, why didn't I get on board sooner? Like, yeah, that's it.
So what I'm hearing is that we're all gonna start playing Lord of the Rings online soon. Because we're an MMO channel and we need to play an MMO. And MMOs are better with friends. So we all need to be on board and create characters and play through Lord of the Rings. For the channel.
I consistently hear that Lord of the Rings Online is very good.
I've also I also hear this actually. But honestly, the thing that I most hear about Lord of the Rings Online is that it has music and the music system is good.
Yeah.
That's like really the highest praise that game gets.
Yeah. And you could be a bard.
Hence music. Is it free? It is free, Susan.
It's free. It is free.
Including the expansions. At least some of them. I actually don't know how long it went. I haven't looked into Lord of the Rings since I think the Moria expansion. And that was a long time ago. You know, it would help if I actually spelt this correctly.
Let's see. I know that they have a new like legacy sort of server thing.
Oh no. I'd be willing to do a one-shot anthropological exploration with you too.
Anthropological exploration.
Wait, is that also what we did in Pantheon and in Embers Adrift?
I think that's what we did with EverQuest.
That hurts. I'm still really upset about the latest time lock server.
The EverQuest 2 one?
Yeah.
It's doing really well.
I know. It makes me upset because like everything that they listed in there are things that like would make me want to go back and play it.
Doing surprisingly.
But like I am not going to go back and play that by myself.
To quote the devs, it's the highest server that they've had. And that's
because it's literally their like core group of like this is the peak of when EverQuest 2 was popular. Catagork says, I think that's mostly free adjacent. You can grind for store currency and buy it. That's true, yeah. Yeah, it looks like there's a bunch more expansions too since I last played it. But yeah, long live Lupiter. Lupiter is always going to be, it's going to hold a special place in our hearts and in the sky.
Wish Lord
North.
of the Rings.
The answer is north.
Let's see. Create your but I want to know what classes there are in this game.
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. I know that they did work with the Tolkien family for the lore. So
yeah. Okay. Did EverQuest have a main story?
Did it?
I don't think it did.
It had the story was
lots
what
of
you.
quests.
I was gonna say the story was what you and your friend, the adventures you made along the way with your friends.
But, like, even, like, EverQuest 2, I don't remember a main story. I just remember doing quests at a hub, then going to the next one, then going to the next. It was a hub-based quest system. It wasn't a story-based.
Yeah, but it had a main bad guy. Like it had like the idea,
Did it?
right? Yeah, because like
Not not really.
what's his face voice?
You're thinking Lucan Dallaire, but that was just the opposing city's leader. Antonio Bell and Lucan Dallaire were just opposite factions in the same vein as Arthas and
Well, no, Arthas.
what's his face?
Arthas. Is,
Hmm?
you mean Thrall? And,
I mean, yes, but
yeah.
there's a story about your background schmuck doing things. Are you talking about Lord of the Rings here? I did jump to EverQuest for a little bit.
I mean, that's all MMOs really. You're just a background schmuck.
No for EQ2. Okay, yeah.
Just a background schmuck, dude.
Like I know that there's a bunch of stories going throughout it. It's just not like a main story of like this is the main thing that's the game is going through. Like the Raid series had a more tangible story, but even still, it wasn't like oh, now I'm thinking of Ring events. Those were great.
There's a whole class called Lore
Fates kind
Master
of suck.
in Lord of the Rings Online. Lore Masters use elemental powers in ancient lore to inflict harm on the enemies. You just tell people history and it hurts their head.
I mean, that checks out.
Restore their morale to their allies and apply support to fellowships. That's kind of like a bard, really. Seekers of
I
knowledge.
mean, it sounds like
guardians
a
of
buff
wisdom.
class, yeah. I mean, they also have the minstrel though, so I mean, that's probably your bard.
They also have rune keepers.
The minstrel is a healing damage class. The lore master is a support damage class. So close. Runekeeper being healing damage. Now that sounds interesting.
Brawler. Tank class.
There's no main quest line, but there's a story from the promotional stuff and sprinkled in the quest, so it's hard to follow. That's yeah. Like I remember I did a lot of questing in EverQuest 2. So like I know the story, but I also don't know the story because there's just some I know the lore. Like I vaguely remember all the things that happened, but I could not tell you what the story is. I could just tell you the world as it expanded. Yeah, like we're having this interesting just chatting chill sesh with the derpy frozen game stream as the background.
Yeah. Well,
MMO
we got to let
Respec.
people know. We got to let people know that we got one crown.
Yeah, it's our crowning achievement.
Yeah. Fjorings are apparently bear tanks.
Right, who are? Warden?
And Lord of the Rings Online, no, Bjorings.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
That's their race, and let's see. Bjorings take names influenced by Old Norse. Grimborn, Pluith.
There's a whole Mariner class.
Yeah. That's new.
That's just a swords person. I look forward to new graphics. Me too. There's a hunter in this game though, Susan. It's got bow skills. Difficulty basic.
Difficulty basic.
That's what it says. But there's also a brawler, but the brawler is difficulty advanced.
I love that we can do anthropological deep dives into MMOs. Next up, RuneScape.
Oh no. No, I
Susan,
won't jump into that one again.
Susan, punch this wood. Someone?
Oh, cool. I like how each of these classes are like inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bjorning is inspired by Bjorn. Cool. The Brawler inspired by Helm Hammerhand, someone who I don't know who's probably from more extended lore.
Mm-hmm.
Burglar inspired by the famous Bilbo Baggins.
Yep.
Yep, that checks out.
Sure does.
Like Captain inspired by Yrnir, last king of Gondor, who probably did not end up so well. Champion is inspired by Gimli. Guardian is inspired by Samwise Gamgee.
Oh my
Hunter is
god.
inspired by Legolas. Lore Master is inspired by Elrond. Mariner Minstrel by people I do not know. Neither is Roomkeeper, and same with Warden.
So apparently, I'm on the old school RuneScape website right now. So apparently, as
Look at
of
the Guardian.
today, Rune Breaks official drum and bass album, old school RuneScape Rune Breaks, is an album of low poly atmospheric drum and bass remixes of select songs from the RuneScape OST. I'm into this. Remixed by London producer Pizza Hotline.
I'm sorry, say that again slowly.
This time our iconic tunes have been remixed by London producer Pizza Hotline, known for making video game flavored drum and bass and jungle with a nostalgic feeling. Pre-orders are now open for the limited edition double vinyl set, available via Laced Records store and the official merch store. How much is this? I mean, the printing,
I need this.
the printing on the vinyl is very pretty. It is a very pretty like vinyl print. It's
Honestly,
not like
Gardener as a thing would be much better. Cat Dad work.
11 official RuneScape drum and bass covers by Pizza Hotline. Have they done this before? They said this time,
Yes,
right? Like
they have a whole SoundCloud or Bandcamp here.
oh my god, RuneScape Battle Accents and Ballads vinyl. It's synonymous with rock and metal. Get out of here.
They also have an album called Deals with a Western Oil Conglomerate.
This disc is solid red. Whoever's printing these discs are doing a solid job. They're great. Oh, you can get a pair of fancy socks.
Fancy socks.
Yeah, that's
Oh, the definition of an MMO has become excessively.
yeah. Did you hear, speaking of RuneScape, because I'm on here, Jagex has said that they're looking at like talking with the community about free to play and like the store and stuff like that. Like, because a lot of old school RuneScape is all voted on by the community. So
Yeah.
they're listed. They're like, hey, like maybe we're willing to like not have anything pay to win. Like they're, and I think it's
Maybe
because
pay to win is bad.
I think it's because the creator of RuneScape is making a new game, and his monetization thing is like, hey, there'll be a like a store, but it's going to be cosmetic only, kind of like Path of Exile. So
Yeah.
and I think that might scare them a bit. So because what's his name? Andrew Gower.
There are so many quote MMOs that I have never heard of on here.
Sounds right. Well, let's see. It's called Brighter Shores.
Ion is the first one. Oh, there's an Ion Classic, because of course there is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I thought that failed. Is that still going?
Oh, very possibly. I don't know. Just, of course, they decided to make one. Ion got weird. Ion was weird from the beginning. Let's be real here.
You could fly with wings. Cool. How about wings?
I'm sorry, there was a Naruto anime MMO.
A Naruto MMO?
Yeah, possible. Or there's also a One Piece MMO. Well, my filters are blocking their official site, so that doesn't sound good for them.
Watch out, everybody.
Like, those are bad, like mobile game bads. Oh yeah, but they have Windows versions.
Don't go to the Naruto MMO.
Yeah, those are weird. Oh, Anthem.
The game
Forgot
that
about Anthem.
the game that couldn't.
All
What
there
if
was Arcage,
what
Rip
if we did
Tryon.
Destiny? Okay, but we added some Bioware flair. Okay, but also it wasn't good. Oh no, don't do that.
So new Destiny with some new Bioware flair.
No, don't do that.
Because new Destiny isn't great. New Bioware hasn't been too great.
New Destiny's okay. Destiny Bungie the team not so great.
Yeah, I don't know how Destiny itself is doing, but yeah, Bungie is no longer what it once was. BDO, that's still a thing. Maybe I need to list the games that are like I listed the ones that are released. Oh, it won't like tell me games that are not dead. Blade and Soul.
Talk about some strange news. Shroud of the Avatar adds $18 and $27 monthly subs to offset costs of development.
Wow. That's
Oh my god.
a
Old
thing?
old school RuneScape counted over 160K players online during the holiday weekend. It is continually top 5 MMO, and I don't understand how RuneScape
How many
is.
of those are bots?
I well, great.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Square is finally shutting down Brave Exvius. I played that a lot in the past. Very sad.
Is this how we got here? No, that's not how we got here. It started with anime. The end of
Yeah, we started talking
MMOs.
about anime, then music, and then we started talking about uh, getting you into Lord of the Rings. Then we started talking about Lord of the Rings Online, and then it devolved back into MMOs.
Yeah.
Everything
MMO
always goes back to MMOs somehow.
MMOs are like crab.
So you hear about EQ3 in the works? I'm
Well,
not on camera, but I am staring directly into the camera at you right now.
uh, it's not.
Do you want to go back to how we met?
You take it this time. Your turn.
A solid 10-ish years ago, uh, I was burnt out on MMOs again after going through Rift, Alpha, Beta, Pre-Alpha, densive progression rating. Anyways, and then Guild Wars 2 in 2012, and I went back to EverQuest for a little bit and got burnt out on that again. And then I saw that they were building a new game, and that was kind of cool. So I joined an IRC server and I got involved with the community for this new EverQuest Next game. And I became ended up running the technical side for one of the major fan sites of EverQuest Next. And Peter was over here working and also creating a one of the top fan podcast for EverQuest Next. We were also doing a podcast, but it was by someone else and it wasn't that great. But we started collaborating on different things. And so we kind of knew each other through the fan site stuff and the whole EverQuest Next community. And I was at SOE Live in 2014 when they last talked about EverQuest Next and Landmark and how everything was cool. And I met a lot of really fun people, including a bunch of co hosts, or one of the co hosts, I guess, that was with Peter. And then trauma. Too soon. Uh, we both were directly involved with the whole EverQuest Next and Landmark shutting down piece and the fan sites in the community and all of the lovely things that fell out from that. Uh, and then a few years later, or we that's how we started talking and chatting. And then a few years later, Peter decided like, hey, want to do a podcast? I had nothing else to do, so I said sure, and we kept going here.
Yeah. Fast forward
How's
through
that work for a
like
summary?
years of Final Fantasy 14 content. Now we got.
Oh yeah. We also played. Yeah. Shortly after that was when Peter was like, "Hey, you should come check out Final Fantasy 14," and I'm like, "Another MMO? This is not great." And the launch was really bad, and then I've been playing 14 for most years since then. Not as much lately, but enough. But yes, we are very, very familiar with the whole EverQuest Next and EverQuest Landmark. And as much as I know that they are hiring for a new game and they are working on a new game, and there is a very good chance that it is probably that, until you can show me a full game that is not going to be canceled, because they showed us a pretty decent game in Landmark that they decided to just throw away. I do not believe a word out of their mouths.
Yeah. And
We've been there. We've played their games.
yeah. I mean,
Landmark was ostensibly further along than Pantheon is still now.
yeah. I in to
Next
give
died because Next died because of mismanagement, not that it wasn't fun. They
yeah.
didn't have a good direction and they didn't have a good technical chops in terms of how Next would have worked, but Landmark was a pretty decent product in my opinion,
Mhm.
and they didn't know how to monetize it or how to make it into something that they could make money off of. And also then Sony sold them off to a uh, private equity firm, which then sucked all of the life from them as much as it could. And broke it up into a bunch of other companies, sold off a lot of their good stuff, and then they got sold off to another private equity firm. No, wait, they got back their own rights, I think, and then they got sold off to another private equity firm, or they partnered with a firm to buy them.
They
Anyways,
partnered.
they're still owned by a private equity firm, but this one's not quite as bad yet.
Yeah, EQ7. I mean, that's right. Hold on. Nope. That's not it. EG7. There we go.
There was a not insignificant amount of mismanagement that happened in SOE that caused EverQuest Next to not be successful.
Yeah, Enad Global 7 is who owns them now. But it gave them back there. Like it took the company, split it into three. So you have Darkpaw Games, think the
Which is EverQuest.
which is EverQuest. It's EverQuest, Lord of the Rings Online, and a few other things.
The others,
Um,
PlanetSide.
yeah, I can't remember what they call the PlanetSide got sold off like completely.
What did it? Someone else now has it?
Yeah, somebody else owns it now. And then let's see their games. Oh, well, speaking of Enad Global 7, we know that they're a decent company. They
Why?
well, they're one of the games that they're a part of is Core Keeper. So
That doesn't make me feel any better.
so and now that's right, they own Palia now. They bought that.
I'm sorry, they did what?
Yeah. Well,
That seems like a choice.
it is a choice. It's under Singularity 6 at Daybreak Studio, so it's not even one of the main ones. Yeah, I guess Pugstorm. I don't know. I guess Pugstorm is under them, I guess.
I don't see anything related to them on their website officially.
It says I went to enadglobal7.com and then R Games and Core Keepers. Right there. Right next to DC Universe Online, their other moneymaker.
Yeah, that's DC Universe. PlanetSide 2 would only be dying because they don't do anything to it. Like PlanetSide 2 just chugged along.
Yeah. It was a cool concept and a cool game, but that's a like let's see. Can I Okay. Publishing and distribution for Core Keeper.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Fireshine Games is the publisher, but I don't think they do anything about development.
No, publishing and distribution.
Fireshine.
For also, they do publishing and distribution for Sniper Elite, Zombie Army 4, Lineage, which is a choice, Ragnarok Online, Planet Coaster,
Lineage is a choice.
Jurassic World Evolution, which is Overcooked, surprisingly, Daisy, Shadows of Doubt, Liza P. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have a really weird catalog,
They do. They have a strange catalog, but
like and including Balatro.
you know what? I can't. I know I'm not here to. At least I trust them more than the last one. So.
Low bar, but yeah. Yeah, they have some really weird choices in this list of things that they published.
Oh, they helped develop Warhammer Vermintide, which is a great game. Dead Island, great game. Evolve, great game, but sadly, it was good and bad. Like there was balancing issues, but it's all game.
Mm.
Well, we'll see if EverQuest 3 comes to light. I like the what's her name? Dark
Oh,
Jen Chan, I believe.
yeah, that's who's running it now.
I really like her.
I'm like, I keep thinking of Holly, and I was like, no, it's not Holly anymore. Holly's not run. She's on the WoW.
Yeah, no, I really like Jen Chan. Like, she's very smart. Like, she speaks really well. She clearly loves her job and loves what she does for EverQuest. Like, which is what you want, right? That's the person you want in charge of the franchise. So, like, and I heard nothing but good things from, like, regardless of the cost of the tickets. Like, if you were a super fan,
that was still
like, but
bad
again,
taste.
seeing what those people got, you know what? If I had the money and the resources to go, those people had a blast, and like it was cool that like they got that experience, like a full private tour of the development studio, and like got to look at the actual like paintings of all the box art, and like each of them got like pretty significant swag, which is pretty cool. Like actual like records, like the like albums, but like records of the albums and stuff like that. And that's pretty cool. Like it
Literal
wasn't like
pay to win.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
It was literal pay to like. Not joking with this one. That is exactly what it was.
It was, yeah. But the dinners were cool. Like one of them was right at the video game is it museum or the
About FaceTime with the staff. Yeah, there was FaceTime with the staff.
There's
They
a
had,
lot of FaceTime with the staff, like a
like,
lot. Like dinner with the staff is huge. Like that's huge alone. So like most companies don't do that often. And those paintings, like from the box art of EverQuest, seems silly. Like it's like, oh, they're just paintings, right? Like, but like when a fantasy artist, someone who's like famous and doing that kind
they're
of
good
work,
though.
they're very good. They seem silly, but they're
So,
very good.
Kata, trying to get more into EQ and EQ2. Like a lot of the nostalgia and a lot of the reason why people liked it is because it was their first game or their introduction to MMOs. Like a lot of the reasons people love these games are because they were really, really good 20 years ago. And that's not a knock on either of these games, but they are very much a product of their time, and the reason why a lot of people like them was because of what they were to them back then, and even now it is nostalgia factor. If we objectively compare them to things that come out now, they do not hold up as well, um, in terms of, like, quality of life features, in terms of use cases, in terms of what people want, what people like. Um, they don't have necessarily that same feeling, and that makes it a lot harder to get into,
Yeah.
especially for hello, Alfie. Um, especially for EQ1 being just that much older and that much more, um, unfriendly to new people, I guess, as opposed to, like, even you look into something like WoW, which is the same age as EverQuest 2. Um, it's had significant revamps and everything with all of the, like, new player stuff to make it easier for people to get into and jump into and not have to do years and years of content to catch up. Um, EQ and EQ2 both have significant amounts of lore like WoW. Less than WoW, but um those points a lot of
I,
people like
I,
things remove a lot of appeal. Yes
I
and no.
yeah, there's ups and downs to it.
Like as someone I played EverQuest 2 from release through 2010. Pretty much every day I had 2 accounts. I had max characters of everything. I ran the gamut of casual rating to somewhat hardcore rating to not playing at all. Like, speaking as someone who played the games for a large portion of time, like, going back and playing those games now is very different from how it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
And a lot of the things that existed 20 years ago or a lot of things didn't exist 20 years ago, so they were the only things that existed, and they were new, they were special, like, I still remember when we were able to start climbing walls in EverQuest 2, and that was a huge thing. When we got flying mounts, that was a huge thing, and now these
uh,
things are, like, table stakes for a lot of games, unless you're playing unless you're playing Final Fantasy 14, in which case you still cannot climb ladders. Um Uh, but, like, a lot of things were very, very good with those games, and they still are. EverQuest 2 still has the best guild system, I feel, of any game I've played. It
it's
still has the best housing
100%
system of any
true.
game that I've played.
And that is also 100%. Both of those
Like,
statements are true.
both of those are very true. It has, I think, still the best UI scripting in any game that I've played, and I actually did customize the UI in EverQuest and coded my own parts of the UI to work better for me. WoW comes close, but it almost is too much, and that's one of the arguments actually against it. Um, EverQuest had like party finder type stuff, looking for group stuff in it. Not originally, but it did add those, and that helped with the game as well. It had the quest icons were very, very useful, which were a huge upgrade from EverQuest 1 that didn't have them. It eventually started helping to differentiate between different types of quests so that you knew if you were going on like an epic quest or if you were on just like a heritage quest or if you were on just a regular quest or like different types of quests that they had. Um, they also were one of the ones that started off with a class progression system. I think 11 actually started this more. Might have come out with Ashes of Creation. I don't know about that game. Um, but like a lot of these things now that it added, they tried to do stuff with, and it did not work out as well. They decided that they were going to keep increasing stats forever, and they had to squish, and that wasn't so great. Then they had to do it again. They decided to add, what was it? Everything was attuned, character bound, so that was a thing. Shared bank was a nice improvement. Um, the original crafting stuff that they had was a hot mess. It was very,
Yeah.
very complicated. Newer crafting stuff, much better.
Hmm.
Thank you to all of the EQ devs who do crafting stuff. Um, what was the one I was thinking of? Oh, the class system was very interesting in that you started as like a generic class and then you specialized and then you specialized again, which were very interesting things, and they rightly removed those. Um, Like, it just doesn't the games don't hold up as well as compared to modern gaming if you haven't played those games in the past, in my opinion. It's not that they are bad games, but they're very much products of their time.
Yeah. It's
And for better or worse, WoW has innovated better than EverQuest has. I'm still not a fan of WoW. I've played it. It's not a game for me. I didn't play it back then. I don't have a huge amount of nostalgia for it. And I appreciate and I'm glad that the latest expansions have done a huge improvement. And I can't speak to that because I haven't played either of them. But like at least up until Dragonflight, WoW had still innovated better than EverQuest from a systems point of view in a lot
but
of things.
yeah,
But a
but
lot
it
of their
also
systems still suck.
yeah, that's
But again, product of its time. Same with
yeah.
14. Final Fantasy 14 is a product of its time. You compare that to a new game like Pantheon, as much as I say that it is absolutely not ready and it is missing a ton of things,
Yes and
but there's a
yes.
lot of things in it that you can tell that this game was developed more recently.
Yeah. You can look at like something like Ashes of Creation, which is,
Yep.
going into its alpha 2, right? And yes, it looks very pretty because they're using, you know, the latest and greatest. But
Yep.
even its systems are ahead of its time compared to Final Fantasy 14, Guild Wars 2. I mean,
Yeah.
like even comparing Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft, you're talking about something that 10-year-old game versus 20-year-old game still. Like WoW has done updates to its
Well,
graphics.
there's about 6 years between the two of them.
Yeah, but still, like even in that 6 years, that's
Yep.
enough time to like,
And part of that is graphical style. Like WoW
yeah,
had WoW made an excellent decision back in 2004 or earlier than that, but that they decided to go with a very cartoony, low poly graphic style. And they have done it. They did do a graphical update on that style,
mm,
but it is still a very simplistic style as compared to something like Final Fantasy 14 or Guild Wars for that matter, or EverQuest
mm,
2. And that's aged a lot better than each of those other games.
yeah,
And it's not necessarily that they look bad. They
yeah.
just don't look as great.
And if you ask a lot of people that like EverQuest 1 and 2, a lot of them would just want EverQuest 1 and 2 to be updated graphically like WoW was during like
Yeah.
roughly around the start of Pandaria, I would say, is when they started doing some of those updates. And most
Sounds
people
right.
just want that, right? So there is that too. If you're
So, oh,
I would
go
say
ahead.
if you were going to jump into if you were willing to jump into one of those two things, I would say if you're going to go the free to play route, EverQuest is your better bet. You're going to have a better, though slightly older, you will have a better time playing that game because there is less store in your face um wants and needs from EverQuest than there is from EverQuest 2. Now, if you play EverQuest 2, my my suggestion would be paying the monthly sub and then joining the time
Joining the
lock
time lock server.
server because at least I'm already deep into. Oh, like
Like,
all right, never mind.
so you say that Dungeon Finder and Group Finders are that hurt MMOs, and that is absolutely categorically false in terms of like it that you might find that it hurts it, but in general, they are both features that incredibly improve an MMO. Um, and MMOs that do not have those implemented are a lot harder, a lot less friendly, and a lot worse off for not having them. And to kind of explain it and to delve into that a little bit more, like it is a quality of life feature. It is something that I don't have 3 hours to sit and ask, hey, is there a group out there? Is there a group out there? And try to form my own group because I don't have that time. I can't sit down for 6 hours. I don't want to sit down for 6 hours to try to grind out an MMO like I might have done back in EverQuest 1 or 2. Having the ability to have looking for group, which has been a feature since EverQuest 1 and before that even, I believe, um, is absolutely necessary. And automating it into a way of allowing to excuse me, connect people together who might not normally find each other is a very important thing to a game. It is incredibly helpful to be able to say, I want to do this thing, let me do this thing. By not having those, you alienate a huge portion of your population. Like, for example, I'll use Guild Wars 2 as an option. Guild Wars 2 has a group finder in that you can put yourself up looking for group and you can join those groups that are looking for group, but it doesn't have an automated system of just put me into a dungeon. I played Guild Wars 2 on and off for the past 12 years? 12 years, yeah, it's been a while. And I never touched any of their group content once until last year because I didn't know anything about their dungeons. I still don't know anything about their dungeons. I've only done those dungeons with Peter and Susan, I believe. I have not done any of their group. I've done some of the group content now because I somewhat understand it, but there is such a high barrier of entry of not just how do I want to go and do this group content, how can I do it? Oh, I have to join a group that uses random acronyms and says like what's an ALEC DPS? Peter, what's an ALEC DPS?
Not me.
Even if I explained it and said it is a DPS class that also provides the alacrity buff to the group. Do you know what that means as a player? Because I didn't for 12 years. But that prevented me from going and doing parts of this. And now that I've done this and know this, like I know these terms, I know what these are, I can go and do that myself if I wanted to jump into those. But I am someone who's played MMOs for a lot, and that prevented me from going and doing those things. There are a lot of people who do not know what MMOs are or how to look at any of those or go and try to figure out what a DPS spec is. That just will never be able to do those because they don't know. Right? Like, it's part of the reason WoW has made it incredibly accessible to allow people to just to jump in, to do raids, to do groups, to do dungeons, mythics, whatever, and still have the ability to do more challenging content, right? Like, this doesn't take away the challenge of anything, it just allows content to be accessible to other people, and if you don't have that, if you try to lock it away and, "Oh, you need to actually just ask for all of it," like, no, no, that's a thing that just makes people not want to do your content, and that hurts your game, right? And one of the arguments against this tends to be, I'm going to cut this off beforehand, is that it. Okay, here we go. Did you reach out in game and ask to run it, or for anyone to teach you? When was the last time you talked to someone not in your friend group? I have not because I have anxiety and I don't like talking to random people in games. And therefore, I talk to my friends that I have in games, or if I do get into a group, sometimes I will meet people in that sense. But as someone who does suffer from anxiety and does not like to talk to random strangers, I should not be punished for not like I should not be able to, or I should not be blocked from doing content in a game because I don't want to talk to somebody else. And when I'm in a group, like I will talk to people in the group. That's not a problem. I join into random groups in Final Fantasy all the time and I talk to random people all the time. I don't want to go and create a group or join a group or like reach out to someone and be like, "Hey, can I join your group or can you tell me how to do this?" Right? Like that's not something that I will do. And I am not alone in this.
I
One
think
of
there's
the reasons why people don't like having these systems is because they say that it ruins the quote community aspect of things in that you don't get to meet people or to learn how to people. But on the other hand, I have also met people looking for group systems or duty finder systems that have been incredibly friendly that I normally would not have met. Even if I had to reach out and talk to people, like I still would not meet the same people that I meet randomly in a roulette. For community building, that really depends on your game system, and it's not a system of the roulette or the duty finder or party finder system. Like it is up to how the game is built. EverQuest did not get any worse when you suddenly could group with other people that were not outside your server, or sorry, not outside of like your immediate group. You could just group with random people, and it was cool because you get to meet more people actually than you ever knew before. Right? If you're just thrown into a random group with four other people or five other people in that case, cool. You just met five new possible friends. Yeah, we wouldn't have met Soul if we didn't talk to random people in MMOs, right? Like we just it's happenstance. But not having that is a block. People complain that it doesn't make server communities as tight knit. That's more of a problem of if you allow cross server grouping and non accountability.
Yeah.
Those are two different things, and I agree that a lack of accountability does hurt games. I don't think that not cross server pieces have it. I do think that there is a way that we need to be able to identify people, I guess. Guild Wars 2 has a pretty good way in that they have an account and your account is your account more or less. If you block that account, you block all of the characters on that account. Great. If you friend that account, you friend all of the characters on that account. It's all account based. It's very helpful. Um, but yeah, as a person, I will not go out and ask somebody in the middle of a game, "Hey, I don't know what this is." If we are in a dungeon and if we're already in a group and something and I don't know how to do it, I would do that. Yeah, a quick pickup groups become silent and dead and get into a dungeon and no one talks and runs the dungeon as fast as possible. Okay, cool. That's what some people want to do, right? That is they're playing the game. You are looking for a socialization system within a game, and there should be a very distinct difference between a socialization system and running the content. If I want to run a dungeon, sure, sometimes I want to chat and sometimes I just want to run a dungeon, right? We shouldn't optimize necessarily for either of these scenarios.
I
We should
think
give tools that people can do whatever they want for this. And without the tool, you are preventing people from doing the one thing,
you also
right?
have to look
And
at
often
the
in oh,
I was gonna say you also have
sorry.
to look at the games themselves, right? Look at
Yep.
something like Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy 14 is a good example, right? You know you're
Mhm.
getting 3 to 4 bosses, and it's usually like pull, 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 boss, pull, 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 boss, pull, 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 boss, done.
Yep.
And something like EverQuest or EverQuest 2, there's a little more nuance to those dungeons, right? You may have to like, all right, we're gonna have to CC this. There's
Yeah.
traps here. There were
Yeah.
for
There was
for
some things, but
there were
still
some
not
things.
not to the same level.
Yeah, but maybe
Like
more
most of it was
EverQuest
chatting
than
because we were bored and had nothing else to do and everything took a really long time.
true.
I spent
Uh
like 6 hours camping in Nectropus Castle in order to get a mask that let me turn into a dark elf.
yeah.
More than 6 hours. That was just one night.
But
Still
again,
remember that
like
night though, because we sat and chatted the whole time. Like, you're looking for socialization pieces.
yeah, again, like, but I'm saying, like, the mindset of the content is different as well, right? Like, you know, it's a the end goal is faster to get to, uh,
Yep.
and it was like, even though you could say yes, like the cadence of that dungeon could be similar, but it was again slower, right? They were just slower for different reasons.
Yeah.
Um, so you had more time to chat, like you said, like you were waiting to for something to pop or to spawn. So that time you have to fill the gap of time with something,
Yeah.
and it's rather like, hey, this thing's gonna pop in 6 hours. What do we do? You want to play Team Fortress? What are we doing? We gotta play
Yeah.
open up another monitor. What are we doing? Like, just you're doing
And some of that is
something
just
else.
starting it as well. Like, I've had a whole bunch of conversations in the middle of Final Fantasy 14 dungeons. Alliance raids, MSQ roulette, even like leveling roulette or expert roulette. Like, I've had conversations with people and chatted with people throughout that content, even as we're pulling fast. Sure, the
Oh yeah, for
interactions might only
sure.
last 15, 20 minutes, but I'm still chatting with people. We're
Hmm.
still having fun, but it's a very different audience as well. Like most people can't sit down for 4 to 6 plus hours and play a game these days. Partly because we have a lot more going on in life, partly because the audience that did that is older and we have jobs and or school and or other things to worry about. So like the type and stuff that we've done, like, I can go and jump into, like, Stardew, for example, or Terraria, or most games, and be able to do something in 20 minutes. Doing that in an MMO, much harder. Easier with the newer ones, harder with the older ones. And that has been a huge win for a lot of the newer MMOs, or the MMOs that have made those changes. Final Fantasy is one of them. WoW is another one of those. Because if I can jump in and I can do something in half an hour, then I can actually do something. Whereas if I have to sit and wait for 6 hours, I'm never going to get to do that.
Yeah, that's not a knock, by the way. Like
Yeah,
it's
no,
just it's very much just I
also
I
feeding a cat.
I yeah, delves are fantastic in World of Warcraft.
Yep.
Like I could see that being. I mean, you could do it solo. You can do it with up to 4 people. Like the ones with there's puzzle ones and stuff like that. There is a lot of communication in delves, more so than a dungeon. Like there's a little bit of like because it's kind of like a big open area. Some of them are more straightforward. Some of them are more open like caverns, and so there's a
And that might
lot of
change over time.
yeah.
I find in 14, Final Fantasy 14, when content is just released, people are a lot more chatty. And then we know what we're doing and we don't chat as much because
Hmm.
we know what we're doing. Right? Like with delves as well, I'm sure once people understand how to do the puzzles, people will stop talking and just do the things that they need to do.
Oh, I'm sure. And once they figure everything out, that'll be fine.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like that's just an evolution of everything. And like I can speak to EverQuest 2 as well for this. There are a lot of groups in the last few years that I played that were the exact same things as you'd see in 14. They entered, they completed as fast as possible, and then they left. Sometimes there'd be chatting, sometimes there wouldn't be. It's just an evolution of how things are working, um, and a change in how we consume the content.
Yeah. So I mean, clearly EverQuest is still popular, and EverQuest 2 is
Yep.
as long as you are doing a time locked progression server, very
Yeah, as
popular.
long as you only go back to the time when EverQuest 2 was good, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Then they started adding like a whole bunch of things you can socket your equipment and then you can put stuff into it and then you can put in extra sockets and then there's special colored sockets. And then you have all these different types of no.
Which, by all means, like, it's. I hope they learn. I hope.
They did. They did the old server. Like
I hope
maybe
that.
we did too much.
Yeah. Like, what do we learn? So, I like Jen Chan. I hope she's. I hope she. I mean, they're what's because it's not in development phase. It's in what do they call it? Uh,
Pre-development,
yeah, but they had a word
design.
for it. Yes, I'll just say design phase right now. Like it's too early to say that what it's going to be because they're still trying to figure out what it's going to be. Uh, they've already started hiring artists to use oh, what the hell is that name? Damn engine. Unreal. So clearly they want to.
Well, the Unreal means that they're actually care about graphics because it is definitely the top graphic engine.
Yeah. So they want to use Unreal.
And it also doesn't have stupid licensing like Unity. So
Yeah. So, you know, they have some ideas where they want it to go. You know, they want it to be hard like EverQuest. I mean, they've already stated that. Like they look at
and that's part of the thing that still I don't know if they understand like
again
It's
with
hard to
her
know if they
with
understand
her in
what's going
charge.
on
Yes, I don't know if
from the
if
communication level.
if the president of EG7 understands what hard is. Like his concept was
Like
he's
EverQuest
like
wasn't good because it was hard.
no, it wasn't.
Hot take.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good because it was hard. It was not. Because it wasn't hard. It was not a hard game. It's just it was good because of
It was an unforgiving game.
it came out the right time. It to be fair, his comparison was even I was like, okay. he was like he's like, well, when we look at something like Dark Souls and oh god, what the hell is their new game that they came out with? Oh, why can't I think of the new game? Their open world game.
Dark Souls?
Yeah, the creators of Dark Souls, Elden Ring. So it's
Oh.
like when we look at something like Elden Ring and Dark Souls. Thank you, yeah, it's Elden Ring. Yeah, they were like, oh, when we look at those games, it's like and see how well they do. Clearly, those games can do well, and we want to do. It was like,
Because those are Souls games, and if you try to make a Souls MMO, you get Dark Souls.
I was like, you just make Dark Souls. So that's
Yeah.
not what people want, but then what they want is you to take what you did really well and do that again with an updated setting and and some updated features. People want housing, people want gear to they want a lack of a semi treadmill, not a like they want to feel powerful with gear that can last them a while. Like they want social, like you would take parts of EverQuest 2 like that worked really well, the guild system, the housing
Yeah.
system. You would take parts of EverQuest 1 that worked
Like,
really well. You would take
and
and add some new things.
on that note, I 100% agree with you. I do wish there were better socialization features within MMOs. I do want there to be more ways to find a community and engage with that community. I want there to be better ways to find guilds of like-minded people so that I don't have to play an MMO solo. To be able to find people, to be able to join multiple guilds. Love that feature in Guild Wars 2, and I think Lord of the
Mhm.
Rings has it as well. But to be able to have those socialization functions, I do not feel like that needs to be tied into the dungeon finding system, but I do want those to exist because I do want to have that social feature back. And I don't know what the proper answer is for this. I do think that there are things that games can do. Excuse me. And WoW seems to have this, have been doing this pretty well with world events. Excuse me, delves or public dungeons, um, where you have a large number of people gathering together trying to figure something out. At least for the initial period when things are still getting figured out, there's a lot more chatter around there. Guild Wars 2 did this with convergences as well. There's a lot more discussion around those, as people are trying to like figure out what to do, how you want to split out, how you want to do it, and it dropped off over time. But things like that they can do to kind of encourage communities to build, to have things like the fashion report or like WoW's seasonal event stuff, where like people go and help you try to get um like the glamour or the transmog that you want. Like there needs to be more ways to build these social communities or have these social interactions in the game.
Mhm.
The other part though is you need to change how people interact with these games. A lot of people want to play these games as solo things, and that's fine. They should be able to. It does mean that the number of people who are trying to socialize will be smaller, but that was also the case back in EverQuest 1 and 2. The difference is that that happened to just be the whole server back then because they had no choice.
Yeah. Unless you were a necromancer. Just me and my skeletons. Hanging out.
No, if you're a necromancer, then you got bugged for corpse runs.
Corpse run? Oh. Do not disturb.
Mm,
20, 2 plat, 3 plat.
yeah. I did have nice people in EverQuest 1 just be like, you know what? Here you go. Here's 20 plat. Go buy a bunch of spells. I'm like, Thank you. You're the best person ever.
If
Like
somebody
honestly,
was
the reason. Oh, go ahead.
so Cat Deadwork mentioned because when I first played WoW, I was a mage, and
Yep.
I agree. Like I got asked
Speak
for
to wizards and
portals
druids in AQ2.
all the
AQ1.
time, and if people were nice, I didn't charge them. So, and if people were mean, just had like, "Hey, mage, I need a portal." I was like, "All right, it's like that's for 3 or 4 gold." And they were like mad at me, and then I had some people like not pay me. Like I usually say, can I take half up front, open the thing, I'll meet you on the other side. Bob's your uncle, and get my other half. And if they chose to not pay me, and I knew I'd write their name down if I saw them, because at the time there was no cross server, there wasn't multiple servers on one server. So I would write their name down, and if they asked me if I caught them like asking for a port again, I'd at the time mages could drop like all their portals on top of another, and it just became a roulette on what that person clicked on. My favorite was to take their portal and then throw the portal into a place that was halfway across the map and just leave them stranded and be like, well, bye. See you later.
Back then, like when you had server only communities, you had to be a little bit better because everyone knew everyone kind of thing on those servers. You don't get that today because things are larger, you have cross server, and I think that's a better system overall. Like as much as I do like the accountability of small servers, I like the ability of being able to play with anybody and everyone a lot more.
I agree.
Although I do miss my small servers and being able to see someone in chat and be like, I know this person. They're kind of a dick. We're just gonna not deal with them. Or when you walk through and you see something here, like, I know that guild. That guild is like top rating guild. And so they're gonna do a lot of damage. This is gonna be fun. But also those people were usually highly toxic, so good times.
Boo, I say. Now I'm just sitting on the Dark Paw swag store, and I'm like, I should buy these EverQuest 1 and 2 cloth maps that they reprinted, and they look great.
Susan, you might want to come and get Peter before he makes a choice.
No, Susan I guarantee Susan's gonna be like, you should buy those cloth maps. Because
Susan, you should come and be a bad influence on Peter.
They're surprisingly cheap. Like they're $20 each.
How much?
They're $20
Oh,
each.
yeah. Wait, how big are they though?
They are. That's a great question.
Because if they're really small, it's
They're
not too
big.
bad. But if they're like
no, they're big.
3 by 4 feet or something, like that's
They
solid.
are. Well, weight doesn't. Actually, they're 25 1/4 inches. They're square, so 25 inches square.
So 2 feet roughly squared.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Or like 55 centimeters, or 50 centimeters probably.
Yeah, roughly. It's pretty solid.
I'd be interested in buying that. At least the EverQuest 2 ones.
They
I'm
look
surprised
great.
how they could fit onto there though.
They look great. They look nice. I'd love for Peter to finally hang out in his office. Well, next year, I've got some plans for this office. Well, one of those plans is redoing
these
my
are
office.
very, very detailed maps.
They are. I mean, they're not super detailed, but
I mean, in terms of like they're detailed. It's like there's a lot of stuff on them, but there's not a lot of stuff on them.
Yeah.
Like the EverQuest 2 one has a lot of things on it, but it's not. It's not a great map. Like I vaguely recognize most of these things, and this is a lot of the this is more than when I played.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of stuff in there, but
But you know, full color. It's fabric.
Yeah,
Stitch.
like
It's
it's not
actually
terrible.
it's stitched, which is nice. It's like not a glue or anything like that. So
It looks printed.
the
The edges
stitching.
are stitched, but the actual like
Oh
map
no, no,
itself looks printed.
the map itself is printed, but I
Yeah,
believe the artist who did the art. What does it say?
no.
Yeah, it's from the original artist Rick Schmitz came back and did
Yeah,
these.
that checks out.
So that's
There's a
also
dead
why.
MOBA called Dawn Gate. Had a surprisingly good community because they had a community rating system. So if we were meeting now, see it's ranked or anything. Yeah, that's fair. Like, and I know a lot of games do that now today too. Like even
League does that now.
League does. Yeah, League does that. I want to say Overwatch. I think does that.
Overwatch does it as well.
Damn it! They have look at the gaming mouse or the gaming mouse pad.
Oh, that's good.
Scroll down, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then doesn't it remind you of the EverQuest Next version that they made a remake of this?
We don't talk
And
about
then
that.
it makes me sad again.
Don't-
Look, this
don't
is a
talk-
really, really cool mouse pad. It reminds me of the EverQuest Next image. If only they made that.
talk about that.
I do think some sort of rating system like that would be really cool. I don't know how you would do. I believe it's usually nice players. I also kind of agree, but they have that system still, which says a whole lot about League players.
They have a Year of Darkpaw one that has both EverQuest and EverQuest 2 on.
Is that not the same?
No, this one's the 20. It's the Year of Darkpaw. It's the 25th anniversary.
For what the map? The cloth maps both say the Year of Darkpaw edition.
No, not the map. They have a mouse pad edition of it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's got Nagathon on it, and what's the big bad dragon?
Fox.
Yeah, it's got Fox on it.
Vox and Agathon, Ice and Fire.
Well,
I told you I was into the whole thing. I don't remember a lot of it now, but like
there's drinkware. What kind of drinkware though?
not as good as the other one. It's like a mugs.
Mugs. I got a travel mug, which has the EverQuest just like original painting on it. But it's pretty big though. It's a big mug. It's a 25 ounces. Hold plenty of coffee. You know, there's some person that's like walking around their office with that mug and like no one knows what it is, and then one person like me be like, I know what that is. I get that. I understand that. I refuse to believe League has nice players. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that play League and they're not bad people. So.
I know people that play League and I judge them. If you're listening, yes, this does include you.
Cat Dad Work, if you ever need to like watch somebody that gives you EverQuest news, the EverQuest show on YouTube, that person, the host, does a really great job of like breaking down like doing really solid interviews and digging up like old devs and talking to them. Like it's a great show. I believe he's out of Indy because he was at he did a meetup here. Sucks because I didn't go to it. I should have gone to it. For Gen Con, he like had a gathering over at where did it? He did it at the Circle City. Where is this? I want to say this is actually at the Garage, Susan. That's where he did it. Yeah, he did. I think he went over the. Yeah, he did. He did the EverQuest show meetup at the Garage, which is kind of cool.
Don't know how much of EverQuest 2 you have played, it had really, really, really good quest lines and story up until a point. And after, I want to say it was like Echoes of Fade War or just after that, I think the quality started kind of dropping off. But like all of the original stuff was really good. All of the like the stories from like some of the original devs, Valen and like OG were very good. I don't know any of the newer stuff or how that compares, but like there was definitely a dip in quality after some of the original lore mongers left.
Yeah. I wonder though. I would love to see if anybody's reviewing.
The latest stuff.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I know there's some people that are, and there's one person I found that is playing through the new stuff, but she's very
So
late. She's very like low key. Like I don't think she's reviewing it. She's just playing it. So
we should probably wrap up though, because we are an hour after. I have a cat who decided to bite me a bunch in order because he's late having food.
yeah, that sounds right.
And yeah, we should definitely be should wrap up for tonight. But if you want to chat all about this, we do have Discord. And also, we're supposed to be doing a podcast on all of this sorts of stuff. So if you have ideas or things for us to yell about, by all means.
Clearly, we have lots to say about the subject.
We have years worth of podcasts to do it.
Yeah,
We just need to actually record that.
that'd be good, bro. One
Promise.
day.
All right, who can we go and raid tonight?
Well, I was about to say. Speaking of,
Wow.
well, I was gonna say wow. Speaking actually of, let's see if he's still up. Well, let me refresh that because it says Talon's live with World of Warcraft.
Yep, I still see that.
All right. Well,
He's still
raid,
talking.
I was gonna raid
He's going for
raid
an hour.
Primus, but I'll raid Talon. Sweet
Yeah,
boy.
Talon's a good person.
Yeah.
He is playing WoW, so like slight points off, but hey, you know.
He does
Anyways,
a great Kobold voice though. It is so good.
Talon?
Yeah, he does a really good one. Like
He is currently doing delves and leveling in campaign, and I can't tell anything from what his screen looks like.
Demon Hunter.
Well, yes, I know he's doing a Demon Hunter because of the thing, but I don't know if he's doing delves or whatnot right now. So
Leveling Dell's campaign. And he's probably doing it all. He's his ADD kicks in a lot. So
yeah, been there.
Yeah.
Do that. Anyways, have a lovely rest of your night. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the chat and the discussion. And we will be back. I will be, well, I guess we'll both be back on Sunday for some Core Keeper, and Peter will be back later this week for Warcraft.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Well, bye.